are getting they're getting played, but people like you and Atlanta and myself, we can't just be silent because we're like, oh, they're doomed, like bump them. Like, I feel like you're getting to that place that we're really gonna not hear from you once you hit that million. That's what I feel.
Oh yes, you're gonna get to that place.
So this entire time.
I know,
man. I've never lied. I've never lied.
I've been saying this for the last few years,
and I get
That's
it.
What's up?
So, I understand that.
Hey,
but what I'm saying
actually
is,
started recording, so you got somebody has to lead it. Go ahead, lovely.
So over it, everyone. So over it, because I just want us to have more hope. Okay, more hope and more love. But welcome to the Financial Griot podcast. Myself and my lovely co-hosts that are empathetic, that are kind, that are generous. All these things are going to introduce themselves, so that we can have this in-depth conversation about the state of the Black community in the United States, for context. And
2 out of 3 is 66%. I'm just saying. Like, let's go. Can we agree on the math? We're good. Let's go. That's the majority. The majority of the group is always empathetic.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of TFG. My name is Atlanta, part of the trio. I'm so happy you guys are tuning in to the normal chaos of it all.
Hey everybody, my name is Lawrence Delva Gonzalez. I go by www.theneighborhoodfinanceguy.com. Well, I don't go by that name, but that's my website if you ever want to catch me. But if you want to see me on IG, I'm the Neighborhood Finance Guy. And today we're going to be talking about, let me get it back. The U.S.
network. Take a breather.
Yeah, the U.S. network.
I want you to be selective in your language.
Yeah, okay? I got to be selective.
Please be selective.
Woo, guys, we're going to be talking about, the U.S. net worth by race in 2022. An article a video footage was actually issued by CNBC, and it actually displayed the numbers that we should be aware of by 2022. These are numbers that have been provided by the Federal Reserve as a source. They've been around for a very long time, to the point that other people have done the research and found that the average net worth of the Black community is headed to 0 by 2053. To my new knowledge, new information in regards to just the pandemic and any economic downturn, the Black community takes the brunt of it all. I think we're actually headed down to that 0 average net worth by maybe late 2045 or something, like late 2040s. So somewhere around like 2045, 2047, we'll actually see the average Black net worth basically go all the way down to 0. With these numbers that were provided in 2021, the average overall U.S. Household net worth was $125,000, of which included Black households at $28,000, Latino households at $17,000, and white households at $178,000. That's why you typically hear the whole white households are 10x wealthier than Black households.
01?
No, 2001. I'm sorry, 2001. So basically, they're looking at the 2001 numbers and they're comparing it to the 2022 numbers. So every once in a while, I mess up with the numbers because I guess 2021 sounds kind of easy on the tongue. But ultimately, we always hear about the white household being wealthy, 10x wealthier than Black households. The reason being is that white households typically carry a lot of assets that produce incomes, versus Black communities Black households tend to be very high on liquid assets, being cars and clothing and such. Okay, as of today, the average U.S. household for 2022 is $122,000, which is 2% lower than the 2001 numbers. However, for Blacks, it's actually $24,000, which is 14% lower than the 2001 numbers. And for Hispanics, it's actually grown to $36,000, which is 112% growth. And for white households, it's up $189,000, which is up 6%. So that's where we start with this conversation. And I know I can't share it because I don't want my internet to kind of freak up. But what do you guys think about these numbers?
We know the numbers are trash and they suck. These numbers are really bad. we were going to be very clear that we were overall, I think every other group had increased in some type of level. Overall, the US is down to 2% because, of course, when you put everybody in the same bracket, the average has to be what it is.
Yeah, we're dragging down the average. That's what that means. We drag down the average.
Yeah. So, the numbers were not good at all. But I think in the context we're having this conversation is, as a community, what went wrong? I'm going to ask these 3 questions. What went wrong? Is there still hope for a change? Third one is, if that is the question, if the answer to that question is yes, what needs to happen for this to change? Those are the 3 questions. What went wrong? Is there hope for it to change? And what could we do for it to change if there is still hope for change? Those are like the 3 things that I think that we have to tackle here today in this conversation, because we know the stats are staggering. They're not good. We can't, I'm not crazy to believe, we'll just be just fine, because that doesn't work. You can't have faith about something changing without the work to go alongside of it. So what went wrong? What's the number of the our buying power? What was that number again?
$1.6 trillion.
$1.6 trillion. Do anybody know the number of the overall American buying number?
No, I just know the number for the Black American.
Yeah, because it would be really.
I think it's around like 200. I want to say it's 250 trillion or something to that extent.
Because I think I like to do
125 trillion, something to that extent.
Okay.
But I'll look it up.
I like to do that because I think there needs to be context against which, because we're going to look at ourselves as a community. Then we have to look at it in the big spectrum of spending in the United States. What percentage do we even make? How does that impact us as a community? And then how does it impact us as a member of the society overall? Because we know the number, but compared to what? Like, what is the buying power of Asians? What's the buying power of our white counterparts, et cetera, et cetera. So we can dive into that when everybody finds that number. So Alana, what you felt like went wrong? Is there hope for change, and what can we do to change it?
A lot of things went wrong.
Okay.
And when you discuss Black Americans in a historical context, in terms of economic power or economic accessibility, we never been within these conversations. There have been inequalities. There have been redlining that has affected us for years and decades of home ownership, bank loans, business loans. So there have been a plethora of wrongs impacting our community because of it. Federal policies, it's just a systemic way of how they neglected and abandoned the Black community to be accessible for economic growth, right? Now, acknowledging that in a historical context of we knowing this, we always knew this. What has see the questions here. So we know what went wrong. Both the things went wrong. Is there hope for change? Absolutely. There's hope for change. I think the hope just rely in us of everyday habits and changing our mindset. When you think of $1.6 trillion within the Black community, so we know it's not an actual income, right? We have money. There's no problem within that. We have money. We have podcasts in the past discussing this, like spend millions of dollars probably over your lifetime and not realizing how much money has slipped through your hands. So the money is there. It's actually allocating those funds into something that will build assets over time, right? And equity over time. And I think that's where we lack, is the mentality. But we also have to place in perspective of many of us didn't have the models and the people around us to kind of help us lead the way. Now, is that an excuse? Maybe. Depends on who you talking to, but we do have the resources now to change our circumstances. It's just in a matter of, do we want to change? So I think hope is subjective of who you're actually speaking with, because there was a post I shared within our Bontimun group. And once again, Lawrence chose violence and commented, but basically they were responding in terms of this, and $1.6 trillion within our Black communities. And they acknowledge the same thing I'm acknowledging. Historically, Black Americans have not been in the conversations, have been neglected, have been redlining in the context of economic opportunities. And we know this historically, but that's not the only problem. We have to kind of put our own self accountability and take accountability of what can we change within ourselves. I would love tomorrow for the Biden administration gives the Black communities and education systems and all this money to help, but is that going to happen? Probably not. Right? So while we're waiting and making other excuses, I rather just put in action for myself. So for me, hope is in the matter of doing things that you have the actual power to change for yourself. So I'm hopeful for myself, knowing that I have the power to change my circumstances. So absolutely, I believe in changing, and there is hope for change. And what can we do for it to change? Number one is changing your mindset, is to understand that you have the power to change your circumstances. You have the power and the resources all around you to level up, and to not just take it in a small microwave context of information, but actually deep dive into the resources and the knowledge to better your life. And I think that sometimes we're so consumed in wanting things tomorrow, we're not understanding it takes, years to get the growth of what you actually want. And you learn from that, because things that comes too quickly may not have the best results, because you may not be prepared for that, and you may not have the skill set to kind of sustain that for the long term. I think that's what it may come to for most people. So there's a plethora of things and resources out there that we can change, but the number one absolute thing is changing ourselves, changing our mindset. You are capable of changing your life. It's a matter of, do you actually want to change? And I think that's something I ask myself all the time, and something that I don't feel like doing, something I don't feel like, putting more money into this or asset or change. Sometimes I don't feel like doing it, but I just know that for the better outcome for my life and for my future, then it's a matter, I need to do this. So it's a matter of people, do they really want to change? And I'm very hopeful, extremely hopeful. I'm optimistic. And I think that's why our podcast has been successful, because we're honest, empathetic, and to understand that, we've been there. And to say that, people are not capable of changing, I absolutely do not agree with that. It's in a matter, do you actually want to change? And that's something that you just have to genuinely ask yourself, because I can lead you to water, I can't force you to drink it. So that's where I lead at. So it's historically, we know the wrongs, we know how we have not been in these conversations and been neglected when it comes to economic opportunity, but we are in a great space to change our circumstances. At this point, it's just really, do you want it? Like, in all actuality, do you really want to change your life and change your circumstances? Because the resources are out there. I think I see Lawrence in the back doing some research.
I do a lot of research, but at the same time, I'm like, let's frame this correctly. Thank you, Atlanta, for bringing the empathy to a much needed room.
I'm giving you balance because
I swear, I'm not.
I know
no, because of you guys, I'm not gonna choose. I'm not gonna choose violence. I'm not gonna choose violence. I hope not. I hope not. To answer the first question that Lovely asked, exactly what are we looking at when we think about Black households being 1.6 trillion in spending power? What does that really mean? I actually looked it up. I found this website called catalyst.org. And within that website, there was a report dubbed the Multicultural Economy 2019 by Jeffrey M. Humphreys. And it chronicles just the data points where, it shows you exactly how much households by different race and creed, white households being a certain amount, so on and so forth. So I did some math. I'm calculating in the background, and I got us the entire total U.S. household spending is $34 trillion. Black households being 1.6 trillion. And I guess to that point, Lovely actually did her own math, and it says 4.7%. Yes, it's not to say that Black people carry the weight of the economic spending power of the US. That's not what this is to say. But when we think about how do we use the money we have today, I don't think we do a good job at it. That's what goes wrong. We don't do a good job at it every time that it happens, and we don't learn the lessons that we should have learned last time. Last time being, hey, the housing issue happened in 2008, where a lot of people were buying into subprime home lending. They're buying to the get rich quick fallacies. People were getting homes they couldn't afford, cars they couldn't afford, with the homes that they couldn't afford. And when the rug got pulled under, a lot of Black households fell under. And to this day, I think, they only recovered maybe 60%, and before the next pandemic hit. That's really what it comes down to. We never recovered from the last issue that happened. That's why we always hear about, hey, Jim Crow, we hear about slavery. So, because for some reason, we never really recover from the last thing that we should have learned from. For me, I'm with you, Alana. I love to think of ourselves as thinking people. There is no way that another man can do for me what I can do for myself. I think in the end of the day, even if somebody gives you money for free, you'll be better off or better served learning how to make money for yourself, or making sure you know how to make the money work for yourself ultimately. So I don't wait for the government to do anything. No grand gesture, no big deal. I think there's been the conversation about 40 acres and a mule. To this day, they haven't seen it. It haven't been, levied anywhere. And people have done reports, books. That's called one book that I remember is The Black Tax by Sean Rochester. He's done a masterful job pulling out all the data points you ever want in your life. He's done all the work. And at the end of the day, I don't think they'll ever give Black people anything. I think people should focus on themselves. What can I do, and what can I do for the people around me? That's how you build. That's how you build outwardly. First, you say, what do I need to process out? What mindset do I need to have? What job do I need to pick up? What skills do I need to work on? What strengths do I have? And can I double down on those strengths? Can I create even more opportunities for myself on those strengths? And that way I'm moving steadily forward to being a better person. I think that's what we've tried to convey with the audience, is that yes, you can still wait for a policy change to happen, but we don't know if it ever will happen. And with the limited resource that we all have this thing called time. You cannot afford to just sit idle. You have to do something. And I think that's the biggest issue. That's what we went wrong as a Black community. We just sit idle when things are just happening around us. So the pandemic happened. I'm pretty sure probably a good almost 60% of Black people are unemployed or something like that because of it. And I'm pretty sure they're going to come out with more and more research and data points. Majority of Black businesses, a lot of small Black businesses tanked and failed during that time, upwards to 70%. These numbers actually have a meaning. They belong to people. They belong to communities. They belong to actual structures within our lives. Churches, people ain't going to church. When you got a pandemic, what happens? Hey, the church goes online, maybe. Who's clicking online? Who has the internet? Who doesn't have the internet? There's all these questions that come along, and we're taking the blunt of it, and we're not learning from what we could do better. And I think, is there hope for change? To be quite frank, a grandstanding change for everyone is probably not in the card. If I had to look at all the data points, all the numbers, I'm that much of a realist to tell you it's not necessarily in the card. The change that can happen could happen for you. That means if you today decide, hey, I want to change my life, I want to refocus on my habits, I want to get better at presenting my objectives, my goals, my plan, my strategies, maybe you help yourself, maybe you help your family, and therefore your family grows. Will that eventually, from that growth, can that get to your community? Can that actually extend to your city? Yes. But a grandstanding, overarching national or even global change for Black people, I don't think is in the cards. I think it's going to come down exceptionally to what people are willing to work forward and the type of priorities we're willing to have. And that's where I land, without a lot of violence.
Much better than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot.
that was
There's a lot of
actually
head
better.
nodding. There's a lot of head nodding out here.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
Toastmasters.
just
Come on. I'm Toastmasters of the game. Y'all think I can't do this?
That was actually good. I thought you were gonna come strong.
Oh, I can. I just need. I don't think it's necessarily to beat anyone down. If I'm being very hypercritical, is because I think that there is an opportunity for us to do changes on a daily basis. I don't see it. Like the whole reparation conversation, I'm like, I don't think you're ever gonna get it. And even if you do get it, it doesn't. Parity itself is not a momentary parity. Doesn't really equate anything if you're gonna end up spending it anyways, just to kind of look good.
Right, exactly.
Well, somebody else gonna end up investing it, and that's exactly what happened in the pandemic. That's exactly what happened in the pandemic. All the extra money that was poured into people's household. Some people, yeah, they spend it on things they needed, but then they spend it on things they wanted, and therefore had nothing left. People, my household, all that extra money either went to paying down credit card debts or investing. Some people didn't even have the debts coming in. You know where that money went? Straight to investing. So they made money on top of money because their money was already invested. New money comes in, but then the companies are reporting earnings based off of what people are spending. That spending power that we feel that we're all high and mighty about as a Black community is actually our Achilles heel. It's pretty much our problem, because in the end of the day, we're spending for somebody else to be rich. Period. It turns out Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and other luxury brands actually went up in sales in 2021.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Birkin bag.
More so than 2019. Pre-pandemic. That means people in the pandemic are buying things like, where are you going? Where?
It's funny you mentioned that, LG, because I was looking up the Birkin bag. I was curious how much it costs, but I found out the company that actually make the Birkin bag. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Hermes, right? Yeah, okay, Hermes. So during 2020, the stock went up. Between 2019 and 2020, the stock went up at least 10-15%. Because if you guys remember, that's when more people was doing the content of Birkin bags. People want Birkin, prerequisite of dating a woman, you should get her a Birkin bag, blah blah blah. And the stock just went up. Of course, we're home, people want these certain type of luxuries, and it's bad to equate I guess, financial success, or to be inclusive, I guess. I'm not sure. But what we're realizing is, consumerism is not a part of Black liberation, and it's not helping us at all. And it's something that I came to realize that even when I was younger, is I understood that less is more. And when you come down to the basic necessity that you need, like you got a safe home, you have a stable job, but also you just have a stable mind, a balanced person. Do we need anything more than that? Like your health is right, you're mobile. I thank God every day that I can actually go to the gym and exercise and walk outside and do all these things. Do we need all the excessive amount of things so much? From earlier this year, well, late last year, is I think I had 3 or 4 trash bags of clothes I did not even get a chance to wear, because last 2 years we've been in a pandemic. So I haven't been going out as much. And I'm just realizing how just all this stuff, it's just like we're just buying all this stuff to go nowhere, to impress people we don't know, and to kind of fill in this void that is at the end, and just essentially just making us more empty. That's essentially what it is. It's just making us empty. And it really hurts to know that we need things to kind of subdue and oppress the real issues that's going on within us. And we don't change that, then no amount of money will change our circumstances. Nothing will change it. Because when you get that amount, you want more, and you want more, and you want more. If you're not satisfied with your life now, to kind of change and better yourself, no amount of money is going to change it. I can tell you that no amount of money is going to change it. And statistically, that's why lottery winners go back into either dead or they're broke within 5 years. I think it's less than 5 years, because money expose who you really are. That's all it does. It really exposes who you really are. So when people ask and manifest and pray for tens of thousands of dollars, it's just like, you're not even, number one, grateful for the amount of money you're making now. And number two, even if God or you're providing opportunities to make more money, can you even manage that? Because you're not managing yourself.
Yeah.
So that's something that you just gotta be honest. You're not managing your stuff. So it's no amount of money. If we don't change that attitude within ourselves and take accountability, then there isn't a hope for that person. So
Right. Well, while you guys were talking, while you all were talking, I pulled up the handy dandy net max plan, because I think when I talk about, like, instructions, we talk about all these things. I think just really quickly, I'm going to go to the top, 5, because you can figure it out. You can download it on the Neighborhood Finance Guy. I think when it talks about solution, we can talk about hope. We can talk about what went wrong, but what can we do to change? And I know we're supposed to be doing a full-blown FinLit episode for you all. And I believe Lawrence has done like a whole solo episode on just financial steps in the net max plan. But sorry. Ooh.
With the phlegm hitting up at me. Look at it, it's so good that it got her coughing it up. Like she's
why you
coughing
gotta
it
say
up.
that? Oh
Too
my
good.
gosh.
Hey, I had to buy
For the
time.
next,
That's what I
can
do.
you
That's
pull
what
it
I
up?
do. Nah, I'm gonna say this. One, I can't pull up the net max. It's just,
Yeah,
I don't
pull
know.
that up.
My internet's a little weird. It's a little wonky. I don't know
So
why.
now your
Comcast.
internet is
Hey,
real. Let's
Comcast is
talk
very
about this.
real.
No, because the
No,
last few
let's not
weeks
talk
I've been
about this. Let's
doubling
stay
down on
focused.
my internet. So
Let's
let's.
focus up. Let's
All right,
focus
I'll
up.
pull it up.
Comcast is out here doing some weird stuff, but ultimately, like you said, there are solutions that you can implement on a day-to-day basis. And the biggest part I would say is that 80% of millionaires are self-made, not self-made in the sense of like they created themselves, but ultimately they're brand new to the money game. That means their parents weren't rich, they weren't rich, they didn't grow up rich. They literally start off from scratch. 80%. On top of that, the reason that they got there, majority of it is just due to a 9-to-5 job. Forget what they tell you out there in these streets. It's just not. You don't have to be a business owner. You have to be a real estate guru, NFT, crypto, savvy person. 9-to-5 people still get the work done, and they still get that work. That means, but you do have to be in the position or in the career field that actually makes some money. And I think that's where a lot of people messed up. They got into career fairs that are making $0 on a cents, and they're gonna making like $40K for the rest of their lives, and they had no idea. In truth, the ones that do make money are engineers. Engineers are clocking in money hand over fist because obviously they're in the creative field, they're in the manufacturing field, they're producing. Anytime that you're producing anything, you have the money, you can make those moves. On top of that, the next thing I got here is a high performing service industries, things like accounting. Lawyers every once in a while, but not all lawyers make that much money. But ultimately, if you're in a high producing service field, you can make that guap. And finally, surprisingly enough, teachers. Teachers are one of the top categories of millionaires in America. I kid you not, teachers do make money. Why? Because they know how to teach others. I remember that joke we all said, hey, you couldn't do your job, so you became a teacher or something like that. But now you're finding teachers shifting to the gig economy or the creative economy, where they're going online. They're teaching English. They're teaching how to speak. They're teaching how to travel. They're teaching anything. And lo and behold, they're making more money online now teaching a vast amount of people than they do just on the day-to-day job. But even if you're just a regular smuggler teacher, there is still an opportunity for you to make a lot of money because you can use both the 401k or the 457b sometimes in conjunction, saving you a lot of taxes, making you a lot of money. In some places, if you're not working South Florida as a teacher, you're actually going to be paid pretty decent amount. Northeast, they'll be paying like 80K. Literally 80K for teachers. South Florida, we look at you like, hey, we could do 25. We could start you at 28. And yeah, we're gonna give you the max we could give you is 32. That's South Florida. Yeah, I want to laugh about it, but it's true. Are you ready to come back, Lovely?
You okay, Lovely?
Almost thought you were gonna lose me. Call 911, choking, tooth hurting.
And he over there laughing. I'm just like, is she okay?
I wasn't even laughing. I was trying to like save the show. Like, what's up with you? Like, the show must go on. Hey, if somebody goes down, I'm still saving the show. Toastmasters, let's go.
Kind of remind me when
goodness.
Destiny Child was coming down that ramp and then they're dancing and Michelle just fell and Kelly just walked over.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna have to
Just
go
gotta
look
keep
that.
going.
I'm gonna have to go look that up.
They just kept going.
Like,
You know,
yo.
Professionals, like
She's
get
like,
back up.
Michelle's messing up. Let's just keep it rolling.
I think it was a 106.
Hey, look, Kelly rolling. Keep it rolling.
Oh my goodness.
I think it was a 106, 106 in part performance, but that's what it felt like. Like, keep it going. Let's go.
I'm gonna go look
Oh,
at the
wow.
YouTube right now. Go ahead, Lovely. You're about to say something important about finding solutions.
Yes. So it's the reason why I bring it up. I think what I like about what Lawrence did with the plan is he also knows that this is his plan, and a lot of people have tried it. Atlanta has gone through it, and then you get to curate it to make it your own plan to see where you are. So the first thing of knowing where you are financially is knowing your net worth. When you know your net worth, which is like knowing what your liabilities are, knowing what your assets are, minusing those out, this is where you are. You might, if you have those student loans and Navidi, whatever the N, I can't pronounce them right now, the student loan people that start with an N, if you have them or Sally Mae, whoever you got, you might be on a little negative side, but that's fine. The point of knowing is so that you can then increase your net worth, right? So that you can be able to see, do I have a lot more liabilities than I have assets, and where does everything even out? Number two was understand your needs versus your wants. Birkin bags is not a need. I don't care what y'all tell me, it is definitely not a need. It's more so a want. And so the third thing is reading and self-education. I really love this plan, and I always recommend, anytime we're having a conversation about money, I always recommend people going to this because it's showing you that wealth isn't about just the numbers, but actually improving yourself. And it includes steps that have you think about psychologically where you are. And number three is reading and self-education. Lawrence has a few books there, The Give and Take by Adam Grant, Principles by Ray. I love him, by the way. And I'm pretty sure this needs to be updated because Lawrence has been reading some more amazing books. So I think like Atomic Habits, 12 weeks in a year. Is it 12 weeks and 12 months in 12 weeks?
12 weeks, 12 week a year. That's what
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Adding those to it so that people can kind of have, and then of course, developing a personal budget. And if you ever go to the website, you can actually click on these hyperlinks that lead you to how do you plan to have a personal budget, and learning to say no, setting family boundaries, which I really think is really important for especially Caribbean families and Black families, where essentially as a child, you become an adult that has to take care of another adult. And you have to know that you don't have the bandwidth to be giving your mom sometimes 500, 600, or cousin Sally that always have that same problem. But then you see her on Instagram living her life up. She can't pay the rent. She calls you, but then you go on Instagram, you see her, you need to learn to tell Sally no, okay? So essentially, there's all these different steps, and he also talks about, emergency savings, finding cultural healthy hobbies like for your mental, your spiritual and physical. And he tells you to consolidate your consumer debt, like those store cards that have 20+% interest rates. You're essentially giving away money by keeping up these things and buying things that you don't need. I know the pajamas look cute on Christmas and on the pictures, but buying $100 pajamas, $200 pajamas, sometimes you might just need to go to Target and get the cute little sets. It's about the nostalgia. It's about the experience. So I think even now I think about like holidays, how now people are not even thinking about the experiences together. They're more so figuring out, how do I up level my pictures on Instagram? So
I'm actually thinking about buying those pajamas now, try to save some money, because like you reminded me. It's
exactly.
a serious thing. Like Atlanta started thinking, pajamas. I
Mhm.
forgot that we might need some.
Exactly. You can buy them so much more earlier, especially right after Christmas. They go down in price. They whatever wasn't bought before they put them back in inventory, you can get them now so
They're
much
gone.
cheaper.
They're always gone, especially at
Is it
Target.
exactly?
Day
That's why you got
after,
to buy them
they're
now.
always
You buy
gone.
them now. You buy them in February for
Yeah,
all
you
the way
literally
down
can,
there.
even now, like if you probably go onto some of the other sites, whatever price that they typically are, they're not there right now because they're going to spike them up because they know come September, November, people are going crazy. So it's like thinking ahead of these small things. For me, I'm thinking I'm in the space where I've said to myself, Lovely, you have these goals that you want to reach that require you to change your lifestyle. And for me, that was particularly health, because I realized that my health was the thing that wasn't driving my wealth forward. For some other people, it might be your overconsumption of stuff. It might be whatever that thing. Wealth is not just money. It's a spectrum of different things. For me personally, it was my health that has limited me in so many ways. I just don't share it. Sometimes I was in chronic pain. Just do what you have to do, and I push through. Like inflammation, like literally in chronic pain. This stuff paralyzes you, doesn't allow you to be at your optimum. Now that I am in a better place, I realize even my performance is being better. Like the business is going to be, all these other things around me are going to get better because I internally feel better. So you need to figure out like what's your obstacle and what's the thing coming. Sometimes it's your mindset. Sometimes it's a friend that keeps inviting you to brunch on Saturday every weekend. And you can't spend that money. You just know we can't go. We just cannot go. We will eat here at home. Waffles and French toast and eggs don't cost more than $110. So for you to consistently spend those things, you do not need to. And have free things. One of the things I'm doing this year is that I'm looking at activities and things that I can do that literally don't necessarily cost. Going to a museum, going to see different things, exploring, taste different foods that allow you to become better. I think there's something to be said about investing in experiences that don't necessarily cost you all the time, so that you can, when you want to spend money, you're spending it on things that are quality. So I wanted to share some of the things from the plan. Just download it, highlight those things. Like I highlighted them, like when Lauren first did it, I used to highlight these things like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then you check them off, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm not investing in this. I need to do that. So improving yourself takes time, but I just wanted to share that we're not just talking out of our side of our mouths. There are real solutions that can help everyone be better and do better. And that's all that the Financial Griot podcast is about. It's not here to tell you what to do. It's here to expose you with potential solutions. It's up to you to decide which ones you're going to take. And it's a daily thing. You really need to be intentional about change. Change does not happen. It just is a progressive thing. And so I want you to take time to really put yourself in the position. And one of the most things I'm excited about, one of the private companies that we've invested in for the last 2-3 years is going to IPO. So I'm really, really happy really soon. Can't say it. I'm legally bound to never be able to tell you. However,
oh, the money. You're going to pay for us to go to FinCon. Let's go. Yeah. Thank you for praying for us for FinCon. Thank you for praying for us. Lovely.
Lovely.
You're good. You're good. You're so good to us.
Wow.
Taking it away. Taking it away from now.
How did you guys get that from this conversation?
Yeah, taking it away from us now would actually make us feel bad. Don't do it.
Wow.
Don't say no.
Wow, this is intense. Look at this. Peer pressure is like, what is going on?
Popping bottles. Yes. I'm with that too. Lovely. Popping bottles.
It's wild. But yeah, we're excited. I actually just got the earnings report emailed, and they're gonna IPO. They've been working on it. So it's gonna be like it's a big deal, because when you invest in a company before it's like, out there, like when it gets out there, it's like that's where you can make an incremental jump. So it's in the works. I saw the earnings and it's evaluated now at a 3.3 billion. That I can say. So
okay, so when is it gonna, I guess,
Hit the float.
yeah. When I guess when you're anticipating IPOing then, like this month, next month, or
probably like March, April-ish. There's a few little things that they have to kind of like put together. But when you're like, they send you all the reports, you can sit in the investor meetings, you kind of know, okay, we're about to do this. This is a big deal. Then you can, like it's really like a big deal. Like when you've been waiting for a company.
I get it. It's a lot of money. You keep saying it's a big deal. I'm like, yes, it's a lot of money that you're gonna get. Lovely.
It's a lot when you're going through that IPO process because
it's intense. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was actually supposed to IPO 2020, but because of the pandemic, it infected the business really, really badly, which kind of like almost like, it's one of those things you get real sad about because you're like, dang, if this doesn't go right, it's going to be a loss. Okay. It's a loss. It's an L, but that's the game that you kind of play. But then the company came back, changed the business model, changed everything. And essentially they are crushing it better now than pre-pandemic because they found a business model and they found a way to kind of like make it out there. So it's been pretty cool.
Nice. I'm not at that level yet where I could IPO. Only have my 401k, which looks very nicely. And I'll be honest with you guys. And I'd be honest with everybody. I think part of it is just to start. And I think that's the biggest issue with a lot of people. They think the money's going to be easy. They think it's just going to go run down the street in all white parties and yachts and all that stuff. Like I need to, it's just a lot more to do with wealth in establishing stability. And once you get there, you'll see that your money is just going to compound on its own. It's going to become very passive for you. Last year, my own personal 401k, outside my wife's and any other thing, it gained $32,785 and over $30,000, which is a pure gain. Plus, I got like a good $6,000 in matching. So in total, it had like almost $40,000. It was $38,467.
What's the matching at your job?
My matching is 5%.
Damn.
Oh no, Doreen's matching is like a good 6%. I'm like, damn. I've heard some people even had matching of 100%. I'm like, and how you not matching? How you not matching?
My aunt works
3%.
Yeah, my aunt has a job that matches at 100%.
Yeah, some jobs be maxing and people don't.
I literally had to like talk her through why there's just like no reason why you're not supposed to. Like she was just like, you think I should do this? I'm like her, like, what do you?
I will choke you. I'll
Right.
pay you. You want $500? I'll take your money from you.
Yeah, like she was telling me that she needs help with like the distributions of where to put allocations actually, and so I was just like, yeah, I'll help you. I know somebody. Lawrence can allocate all of this for you.
Hey. I got new prices, so you may as well send it over my way.
Yeah, like she was just like, oh my God, I need the help. I'm like, yeah, just let me know when this
money.
To me, it means
That
nothing because I feel like that's
money.
important because people spend money on stuff all the time. Spending money to get some allocations and get somebody that knows what they're talking about. Man.
No, I tried to help a friend of mine, a couple of years ago, because they worked in the government, and try to tell them like, yo, you might want to do this. And I think at the time I was only charging like $75, like for like a 2-hour, conversation. And I'm like, how
much is it now? How much?
This would be worth. This is a conversation that is worth total gains. Let me do the last 3 years, almost $100,000. I'm looking at her like, you could have hit me. We could have did this thing. You could have been living. You could have been balling. But look at you trying to be cheap. You didn't want to pay $75. I don't know. My prices now are $1,000 for 2 hours. I'm not doing this anymore because I know what I've been telling people in theory what it was, but now I'm showing people like this is exactly what I keep telling you about. But you out here mad about like anytime somebody says, "Oh, your price is a little too much," I don't want to pay $500. No, you know what? Now it's double. There's gonna be a point where it's gonna be like $5,000 to talk to me for 2 hours.
And I'm gonna tell the audiences, no lie, like it's not because I know Lawrence, it's not because I know Atlanta. I'm telling you this, like I'm gonna say this really loud and clear. There are people that you can get to sit down with that's literally going to change the trajectory of your family. Not you only, but your family. I don't say that lightly. I say that with precision, clarity of thought. I am in sound mind. And if you're a nurse, I am AAO times 3. I know where I'm at. I know my place and know my time. I'm just telling you this because what is happening is the iPhone that I'm holding right now that you can't see. This is a $1,200 phone, right? Depending on what I do with this iPhone will determine if that $1,200 is going to give me any type of return. Because somebody has this phone and they literally make $1 million from this phone because they do whatever they do on it, whether the emails that they're booking clients on, whatever else. But somebody just out here just strolling, liking, texting, and calling. So that phone doesn't really give them much of a return. It's the same thing with these conversations. You spend money on things that you don't even know if possible, if it's going to give you a return. These conversations, if you listen and you do implementation, you will be trajectorily different in 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. No lie. I have things that I was reading from 5 years ago in my journal that had I listened to the lovely that was a sound mind that gave this instruction, I would have been even way further ahead. Because sometimes we sit in indecision and I don't want to spend and not wanting to invest and not realizing that it's a seed and it's going to grow and it's going to compound. There's this guy that I was listening to last night that started a YouTube channel, and he's a big shot, like brand designer. And when the YouTube started, it took them 2 years to grow, I think 76,000 subscribers. The last December, they had 76 people subscribe in a day. That's what happens when things compound. What you were doing that took you 2 years now is happening in your day. You want to talk about 6 figures, making that in a year. If you listen, in 5 to 6 years, that's what you're going to be making in months and weeks, eventually in 10 and 15 years. What you were hoping for 365 becomes your monthly payments of your investments growing at that level. However, you don't get the compound if you're not in the game. I'm imploring you, please invest in yourself. I know them, but they're actually good. They're really good. I know a lot of people that's not good. A lot of people tell you stuff that's not true. They're good.
Well, I think this is why we had this conversation, starting off with the Black net worth and where it is now in 2022, and the spending power that we have money, we have opportunities, and it's always going to be better for us to focus on what we can do versus what we can hope that somebody does for us. So I think with the power that we do have, we can better leverage it, better control it. And, ultimately it goes back to what we've been talking about recently, which is our mental health and understanding that you don't have to be in a house full of stuff, things by guy, just to feel a certain way and only to realize that you're still empty. I think that's what the struggle is. And that's what real wealth is to me. The fact that you can actually put into place systems and pathways for you to be happy, successful, well kept for. You got a house, a roof over your head. You got food in the fridge. You got a couple Netflix TV stuff. You got a gym membership. I don't know what else can you say. Like, this is basically the best part of life. Right. And maybe you have a cat or a dog, and maybe that cat is getting some kind of back rubs, and maybe going to the dentist. I don't know why, but hey, some cats do.
Here you go.
Hey, some cats do, but most pets of Black people are suffering outside in the cold. So I'm just messing around. But ultimately, I think part of it is to realize the type of life you want to live exists, and maybe you just need to shed the life you've been living now to actually make it work. With that being said, my name is Lawrence Delva Gonzalez. You can find me on the interweb as the Neighborhood Finance Guy. As always, I drop a lot of information that you can use, that you can share with your friends, family. And we also give out pretty much an extra bonus. So if you like us, you review us, and you help us grow, you help us develop. We also do free workshops. Free workshops meaning like 2 or 3 hours, valued for, at least in my neck of the woods. I think I charge like $1,500 or something for these workshops, but it's completely free for you to actually come into the space, learn a lot with your friends, and we have a real good time, and people really enjoy it, and it really does change your life. So if you help us, we help you. What else anybody else got to say? Close it out.
Oh, that was incredible episode. Per usual, you can find me on all the social media outlets at Atlanta, ALAINTA. And guys, if you take anything for what we are saying today, just take some action in your life and really try to pivot and change the trajectory of where you're going. Because 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, you're gonna look back and be proud that you actually started. So I really hope you take that and everything else we are saying today in consideration.
Alrighty. This was a good episode. I hope you grow, you learn, and all this stuff is like in the show page notes. If you ever need like a hyperlink, you can click on our pages, the website, and everything. We'll be able to connect with you. Yeet. Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.